Hey everyone, we are back for our conversation following the last week of our message series Breakthrough. I can't believe we've made it through 4 weeks already. This one has flown by.
Been fun.
It has been really fun. I've actually really enjoyed this series.
I think
have too. There's been so much great just like meat in it. But I'm sitting here today with Pastor Denvil, who taught us this weekend, and Scott.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to be here.
Yes.
Denvil, you started out the weekend with a wild illustration. Wild.
Yes.
Is this see-through?
Yeah.
Tell me where that came from.
That's so funny. That is the one thing I have heard. I think that was a big takeaway from the message. Like, who's Saul? Who's Samuel? I don't know the people.
Yeah.
Is this see-through? I've gotten so many people who are just like, whatever. So it's funny because often we will talk about these things with the idea of mask, like taking them on and taking them off, like what's hiding behind your mask.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of see-through feels like it's not a mask. It's like what I wear.
Yeah.
And it's appropriate. Like I'm not hiding anything. I need to wear this. Like I need to show up as this, and it's a good thing. But sometimes it's supposed to cover me from the right people. And so it's like it's a question of intimacy and vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm hiding behind a mask, and it's not really who I am. And I really wanted us to think a little bit further than like this is not the real me, this is the fake me, which is how we often talk about these topics.
Right.
But more so like this is a part of who I am, and it's a part of how I need to show up. Like I need to show up as a father. I need to show up as this. It's the clothes I wear. But I don't want people to see through the clothes I wear. But in intimate relationships, though, I do trust some people to ask them enough, right?
Yeah.
So it's a question of vulnerability and intimacy. And also, I'm married, and
And you've been asked that question
and it's
before,
a real
maybe.
question.
Yeah,
It's a real question. I think we ask, and I think that especially when you get something new, it's a question that asks. And I think it's not a real question that guys ask each other much.
Like even at the gym, like your gym shorts, you're not like.
It's not a question that guys ever ask.
No.
You've never asked anyone that,
No.
Scott?
Guys never ask this question.
No, never come close to that question.
but I do know that like women will ask other women. So it's just it's like husband and wife, like women friend. Like there's a vulnerability and an intimacy that's allowed in that. Where it's not it's not just these two people alone. Like I'm gonna wear this out in public, and it's a good thing. But I just want to make sure that only the right people can get to see my vulnerable spaces.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the idea behind it. As to how I came up with it, I don't remember, to be honest with you. It was
We
just
call
a question.
that the Holy Spirit.
It was just a question
Yeah.
that came up as I was prepping, and I was like, that feels like what I would want to say.
Where do you think we learned that? Where I don't. There's not a class.
Yeah.
There's not a book.
Yeah.
But we all learn it.
Yes.
How do you think we learn that we need, in a sense, to have emotional clothes on?
Yeah.
That's good.
Because that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is we learn to dress for work. We learn to dress for school.
Yes.
We learn to dress for family. We learn to dress it for friends.
Yeah.
For that special someone at the 8th grade dance.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
All of those things. Right.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Do you think?
So I have kids, and I'm watching it happen in real life.
Okay.
And so this is for those of us who are like your childhood traumas. Like that's where this comes in,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because in your formative years, like you're testing the boundaries of life, and you're finding out like what surfaces I could touch and which ones I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And you're learning like who's who. And I think sometimes I watch my kids learn when they do something once and they look at the reaction and responses that we get.
Yeah.
And they learn what's safe, what's appropriate, and what's not, right? So this is good parenting. We teach our kids like what's appropriate to wear out of the house, what's appropriate to wear around the house. And those are different clothes.
Yeah.
And for my kids, like this is not on anyone else. My kids can't wear certain things to church.
Right.
Just because that's how I'm bringing them up.
Yeah.
And so that could be bad, where they start to have this idea that in order to come to church, I've got to look a certain way. But right,
Yeah.
so the way that we respond to how they show up, it teaches them certain things. There's certain things we talk about at the dinner table. and there's certain things that you don't. And so they've learned to put on, if we're using clothes, I put on a certain clothes at the dinner table. Like there's no potty talk at the dinner table.
Right.
But then once we get to the living room, however,
There's lots of potty talk.
You can do potty talk.
Yeah.
and why? Because at one point they didn't know that.
Right.
And so they just once said, "This chicken looks like poop."
Yeah.
And then my wife would say, "Hey, we don't talk about that at the table."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, let me put that shirt on."
Yeah.
Right. And so we learned to cover up. And so I think it's learned, in part in those formative years.
So interesting.
It is. And so if you think about that, the game also changes.
Yeah.
The clothes you wear when you're 5 aren't the clothes you wear when you're 14.
Yeah.
They're not the clothes you wear when you're 25.
That's good.
Right.
And I would argue they're not the clothes you wear when you're 40, 50, 60. And so the garments continue to change because our roles change, the world changes, expectations change. When I sit here and I'm thinking about this feels hard, not easy. This feels complicated, not simple.
Yeah.
And in fact, I feel so complicated, it feels like you couldn't explain it, you can only experience it.
Yeah.
Is that and I look at that, and then we introduce Christian concepts like vulnerability and
but don't wear all the
transparency.
clothes.
Exactly. And you say we want to go into this thing called a small group. We want to open up our Bibles and we want to get real.
Yeah.
And then we take that abstract idea, and all of a sudden we're like, I have no idea what emotional clothes to wear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, speak to that to somebody.
That's good. That's actually why I really enjoyed, like, I grew so much in this past week as I prepped this message. Like, I really liked the idea of clothes being see-through, right? Or not being see-through. And as I played with the idea more and more, testing if it was appropriate for the platform, right? But I really like it because I think that it does say that I need to be covered somewhere, and everybody doesn't get to see everything.
Yeah.
And I do think that as you get older, like in my view, like, I have this joke where I'm like, I'm well into my 40s now, right? I just turned 40, right? But I'm well into my 40s, right?
Yeah.
And when I say that, my staff and my leaders, they always, anytime I live on the edge of life, they're like, Denvil's just well into his 40s now. And when I say that, what I'm indicating is, I'm not as guarded and insecure as I was in my 30s. I'm going to say some things that I'm not trying to.
Because now that you're 40, you're running out of time, my friend.
I'm running out of time. You liking me is not my greatest concern now that I'm well into my 40s. Now, in my late 20s and 30s, I'm going to wear coats. I'm going to cover up because I want you to like me.
Yes.
But then as I get older, the coat gets heavy. And if you don't like me, baby, you don't like me. And I'm going to move on, right? And so I do think, like, what you're guarded in
I'd
changes.
love to tell you that ends at 50, but it does not.
So by the end of this, there's a point where, since we're not at the table, when I know that when you get older, at some point, like I've been with older men, like in their 80s, like mid conversation, they'll stop and fart and move on.
Yeah.
Because they're like, gas.
I don't care.
Very, very normal, isn't it? And they just move on.
Because they realize they're going to do it even if they try to stand up and
coming.
walk away.
Nobody cares. Right? They're just doing it.
Reality.
And they're not concerned.
Yeah,
they're not concerned about
the best
things.
part is when they become hard of hearing and they don't even know they did it.
But you imagine that same 80-year-old as an 18-year-old.
Right.
Totally. They'd have been mortified.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd have been absolutely mortified.
So I do think that there's a maturity in that, even as we're talking about Samuel, we do see Samuel in his younger age.
Yes.
He shows up and he's vulnerable and he asks questions and he's with Eli, right? So there's a different, but then as he gets older and he's gone through some things, like he does change a little bit, He's not as inquisitive and showing up and this kind of innocent like, hey, like, did you call me? Like we saw this one, he grabbed the coattail of a king and says, I'm tearing this thing away from you. It's like, oh, this is a different man that's showing up than we saw a couple of chapters ago. So I do think it changes as you get older. And I do think, like, the idea of see-through is that everybody in fair view should not see through everything.
Right.
I think that's the hard part. When I go to my small group, everybody can't see through that. I mean, look at Jesus. Everybody,
Nope.
everyone is not permitted to see through your garment. That's why you wear them. But there are those. There are the Peter, James, and John that comes closer and let me tell you how I'm grieving.
Right.
But even then, there's some people who don't ever get to come that close but God.
Totally.
So-
I agree with that entirely. And it's at the end of the disciples' tenure that he calls them friends.
Yes.
It's not at the beginning. And he is treating them differently at the end of the 3 years than the beginning of the 3 years. Part of that is they couldn't handle it. And they had to grow to handle it. I think part of it is they've also learned what appropriate clothes to wear.
Yeah.
And he has reclothed them
Yes.
in this process. That's part of the transformation of the soul that God does. He reclothes us.
Right.
It's not that he leaves us naked,
Yeah.
but he reclothes us. I think about devotional life. I think about small group. In my devotional life, it has been a process of being reclothed and being comfortable, being very, very vulnerable with God, and that I can trust him with the most inner parts of myself. And in abject truthfulness. And then there are folks who are deep friends that I don't have that with them. But I have something that kind of approximates that or gets adjacent to that, of where I know that there are some things that we can't talk about or that is harder to do. Where with God it shouldn't be like that. But there's not many of them.
That's great.
And
great.
You know, what about you, Ellie?
No, it seems to me, so as I'm listening, I have so many thoughts running through my head, but it seems like the qualifier is trust.
Yeah.
Right? Like that becomes the qualifier for whether or not people get to see through the clothes, right? Or check to see if it's see-through. Like, it's who do I trust? And I think that if we think about, I loved what you said about God reclothing us, because if I think about being reclothed, right? I go into a store. Maybe this is a woman thing, right? And let's say like you're being appropriately dressed. You need to be measured, right? And like to be properly measured, you have to take all your clothes off. Like, because
that
you're
is
not,
a woman thing.
I mean, you're not,
I have not had that.
I have never had that experience.
Oh,
Not
maybe
even
you
one
have
time.
a few undergarments, right? That like you're taking
All
off.
the audience out there, never once, not one time.
But you're not going to be measured over baggy clothes that you're already wearing. You're not going to be measured over garments that you already have on. You have to become fully exposed to be measured, to get the clothes that fit you appropriately. And so I think that like in front of God is that place that we are fully exposed, right? And it's like that's the ultimate like relationship of trust that we should have, right? Like with God, I can give him everything. I can tell him everything. He sees through the most see-through parts, right? And then it's like incrementally out of that, right? Like then I have my spouse, right? And like there's very few garments that you have to wear in that situation, right? Like this is your night clothes, whatever, you know? And then like you move out into friendships and relationships. And it's not because I think in sin, it can become like because of protection and provision of ourselves, right? But I think that in like a right relationship, and this is something I'm still working out in my head, right? Where we are loving and caring about other people, there's actually like we hold a responsibility and a protection and provision for them, like the people who we're in relationship with, to show them what God looks like.
Totally. And like,
you know,
there's also times when I'm feeling an emotion. It's not an appropriate emotion for everyone to feel. And it's not helpful.
Right. Like
if I'm angry, even if I'm legitimately really angry about something, I have generally found that is not an emotion that is helpful. Like that is not an emotion that helps people become the best version of themselves, that opens up their hearts and minds. And even if I'm justified in feeling angry about what I'm angry about, that might need to be something that I take to the Lord. Or I take to a couple people around me and I'm like, can I just express this with you that I know it's not going to upset the apple cart. You know what I mean, of their life. But I'm just like, I'm really peeved, you know, right now. And I just need to talk to somebody about that. And I'm not all cleaned up. Like there's pasta sauce all over me, man. All over my emotional clothes
Greek
right now.
spaghetti.
And I'm letting you know.
No,
there's something that I think, you know, at the end of it, what my hope was for this is that we would be comfortable with God seeing through it, right? And so the main crux of like what I hope we would get to is if God can see through it, it's okay. Not that like he needs permission to, because he is the all-seeing God and he knows all. But God seeing through all of you is not a relationship. It's just God being himself.
Right.
You being okay with God seeing through and inviting him into that. That's the relationship part of it.
Totally.
You know, and I think where we want to come to at the end of this is, like you're saying, I do have that place where I'm coming to God, not pretending or having this view that he can't see through it.
Right.
When I do discipleship with younger men, I encourage their prayer life in a real specific way. And I ask them how they pray. And they oftentimes tell me they pray in their head. And I say, great, I need you to start praying some prayers out loud. And why? Because sometimes praying in your head can feel like you're hiding.
Yeah.
And sometimes just praying out loud, it makes it very real.
Well, sometimes you're praying and sometimes you're thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thinking can be hiding.
Yes, right? So like even hiding behind your thoughts, right?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, that's one of my confessions. Like my confession is like I think more than I pray.
Right.
And that's an embarrassment for me, because sometimes I start off praying and I end up thinking.
See, if I'm thinking though, God's not thinking. In that I'm carrying on a monologue. I'm not giving space. I'm not giving space for God. Right.
That's good.
Yeah. And
So a part of it is in my prayer life. Am I praying out loud? That's one. And then I start to say like, hey, like when you start to confess, like tell me a little bit about how you confess. And oftentimes like you're not using real words.
Yes.
You're using words to hide behind what you want to confess. And so even coming before God, you're not comfortable him seeing through it.
Yeah.
Because you're not inviting. Does he know what you're talking about? Yes. So guys will pray things like this. I say guys because that's who I disciple one-on-one, right? Lord, forgive me of that sin.
That one.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Which one? Yeah.
Like, right? Like, I mean, if you're talking with a group of people, I get it.
Yeah.
But in your one-on-one time with just you and God, like, you know he could see through it. And so
Right.
the building of relationship is naming it. Like coming to terms with the fact that he can see through it. And you may not name it in front of everyone else, but surely before God, you can, right? And I think that's where...
And its proper name.
Yes, right? Like, I mean, let's call it
Let's
what we
call
need to
it
call
what it is. Yeah,
That's important.
exactly.
Right? Because that's where
Exactly.
breakthrough comes from. That's how I came to faith.
Yeah.
I came to faith in the living room of an Episcopalian priest, who, for the first time, he got me to confess, and I just started saying things I had never said out loud.
Yeah.
And bam, like the Holy Spirit just landed on me like something I've never experienced before. I said one thing out of my mouth that I have never said in front of another human being. And the power of God landed on me in that living room, and I couldn't talk. I started screaming. The power of God was just on me. I'd never felt it before. I thought he was doing some hocus pocus stuff on me. I was so afraid. And the Lord met me in that. That was the experience when I stopped swearing, like we talked about in that service, right?
Praise God.
Like something happened. Like something happened in that moment, and I could no longer be an atheist.
Yeah.
And I moved from that to where I'm like, okay, like I can be an agnostic because surely there's something happening in this space. Because for the first time, like he saw through this
Wow.
thing, and I knew it, and I felt exposed.
Yeah.
But he finally got a hold of me in that, So it's been a form of discipleship for me, and at least before God. Maybe when you're before 3 or 4 people, wear a robe. I get it. But when you come before him, if you find yourself dressing up, you're missing it.
The challenge too is sometimes we get into a group of people and we take a chance, and then it doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
And that sets us back.
Yes.
And I've talked to so many people, and that's been true of me at a couple points in my life too, of where you just think you're in a super safe space that you can be yourself, and all of a sudden you say something that's not cleaned up, and you realize, wow, I just got judged.
Yeah.
And I'm now going to be treated differently by you. You've gotten quiet. You're not talking to me.
Yeah.
You're going to judge me for this. And immediately, normally you think, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah. Right.
I wish I hadn't said that.
And there are a coat.
Exactly.
Yes,
Winter coat.
Here come the clothes.
The winter coat is coming on.
Yes.
And I have found it's really hard to get that back on track. If the other person doesn't acknowledge, you know what I just did there? I actually just judged you, and I actually messed that up. And that's part of my mess, is that I'm judgy, or that I that particular thing, that's what my dad did.
Yeah.
Or and I had that did something in me. If that doesn't happen in the first few minutes, it's real hard to get that back on track.
Yeah.
So if you're in a small group, if you're in a prayer group, it's so important. Like if you just said a critical thing and you think, oh, why did I do that? Say it. Don't just think it. Say it, because that other person really needs to hear it. And it's something that they are needing to be able to get back on track and not feeling so self-conscious that I blew this thing up. In that, I remember my first moment with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
I was on a Christian retreat, which I didn't even know those existed, and I was with a bunch of people from my class in medical school.
Wow!
And I broke down crying, and I hadn't cried since I was 7 years old.
Wow!
And German, and so basically it had been beat out of me, and so I was so ashamed. I felt deep shame over it. And I immediately got up and left, and these two guys came outside, and I kept walking away from them, and they kept walking toward me.
Yeah.
And they eventually are like, "It's okay," and I'm like, "It's not okay. Like, I don't want to be this person. I don't want to weep in front of you."
Yeah.
And it was a moment where I realized that God had more for me emotionally than I had ever known.
Yeah.
He was giving you new clothes.
He was giving me new clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weepy clothes.
Yeah.
And so
I wear those a lot.
and it was interesting because the world had told me those were inappropriate clothes.
Right.
But God was like, what I have made appropriate is not inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. You brought up Saul or Samuel grieving over Saul.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that he'd invested a lot. I thought this was really good. That he had invested a lot in the relationship with Saul, and Saul just kind of he didn't live up to what Samuel had hoped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I don't think he had lived up to what God had hoped.
Yeah.
If we're going to be entirely honest about it. And Saul is an interesting figure in this. He's somebody obviously that is at some moment in time, the legacy of Saul becomes larger than the legacy of God. And Saul becomes larger in his own mind than what he ought to be.
Yes.
And he begins to take matters into his own hands that belong to God. Like he begins to intrude upon sacred spaces that are not his to intrude.
Yeah.
And as a king, as a leader, that's an unbelievably important boundary.
Yeah.
There are things that are God's to do, and there are things that are ours to do as leaders. And it's important to know the difference.
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
Yeah. So I think Saul is Samuel begins to grieve over him because he sees that God is done with him, and that's hard, but it's his investment.
Yeah.
Right. And it's his investment, not just I don't know. I don't think it's in some prideful way. I think it's tied to God because, to your point, Samuel knows there's a boundary between us and God.
Right.
And this man has crossed it.
Yep.
And I have invested in this man, and there's this pull of this is shattering because I've come this far to do the will of God.
Right.
And I can't do it by myself, and I brought this other person with me, and now he's failing.
And how many times was Samuel inconvenienced?
Yeah.
How many times? Seriously.
Yes.
There's some humanness.
Yeah.
to
There's
the
some
grief.
humanness.
Yeah.
How many times
Yeah.
have I shown up for you, man?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many times have I picked you up and I have set you back and I've done it, and here we are.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, I knew you were a bad idea from the
Yeah,
beginning.
exactly. I was the one. Let me raise my hand.
That's
I
great.
said it. It was
That's
me.
great. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
He told the people,
Yeah.
hey, this is
It's
you
a
shouldn't
bad.
have a
You
king.
should not
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah. And I think that's a part of that's what makes grieving hard.
Yep.
Right. And I think the kind of grieving that Samuel's doing is around the will of God.
Yeah.
He sees the will of God as broken.
Yep.
And for a man who loves God, who his entire life is given over to the will of God, and he's watching that crumble.
Totally.
And I mean, we know the story, so we know that God has another king prepared, and we know about David. But if you could just be with Samuel in that moment, he does not know that God had, and so the nation has betrayed God. The king that they chose in betrayal of God has betrayed God.
Right.
And so Samuel's grieving, God, this is it.
Yeah.
We've pushed away God, and he's given us a thing, and then God rejected him. So now we have nothing. And so there's a grieving over Saul. I think there's a grieving over the will of God. And I think there's also a grieving over the nation of Israel, because now where and what is the nation ought to be. So there's a deep grief. And, you know, I think it's personal. I think it's spiritual. And I also think it's cultural or governmental to that extent as well. So it's a deep grief. I feel Samuel in those chapters.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people that cracked something open this weekend. I think at a cultural sense, we tie grief largely to death.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I can only grieve if there's death involved.
Yeah.
Right. And like actual physical death.
Yeah.
Right. We don't think often about grieving other places of our lives, about grieving disappointments, about grieving where you don't see the will of God at work, grieving broken relationships, grieving these things. We don't allow ourselves to do that. We fix them. We want to fix them quickly, but I don't think we allow ourselves to grieve them. But I'm just wondering, like, how do you interact with people when they're at a place where you see, hey, you need to grieve this thing, but they don't have any context for that?
Yeah. One of the things that I hear people say a lot is, I just don't like change. And this is normally where I start off with the idea of grief, is that things are changing and they're out of your control.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just don't like change. And I first try to convince people that they do like change. And so I think that's important.
How'd that go for you?
I think I do a fair job.
I'm confident you do an amazing job.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I convince people that they do like change. They just like change that benefits them.
Yeah.
And I would say, you like change. If I gave you $100,000, it's probably going to change something about your life, or at least your day, right? Yeah. And that's a good change, and you like that one. If I was going to sue you for $100,000, you don't like that one, and because that's going to change your life or maybe your day. Right. And so both of them, it's the same increment. One you're getting, one you're losing. I don't think you despise change. You like change in the right direction. What you don't like is loss.
Right.
Loss is what we're grieving. And so I try to get us to a place where we're starting to talk about grief in terms of loss. I lost a loved one. I lost my job. I lost my security. I lost this friendship. I lost confidence here. I'm losing something. And whenever there is loss, there must be grief.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the simple equation that I think things down to.
It's interesting. Harvard did a study a few years back, and I can't reference when it was, but they determined in top performing people, the fear of losing was 8 times the motivator of the joy of winning.
What?
And so literally an 8x, and they looked at champions, sports-wise, symphony, orchestra people who are artists, people like who excel.
Yeah.
Their motivation is to avoid loss.
Yes.
It is perfectionism, and they become highly controlling of the entire environment around them, so that loss can't even fit into a crack.
Yes.
And basically, the idea that this could go well is not the motivator. The idea that this could go badly becomes the motivator, and like an 8x. And I don't know that all of us are top performers or like that, but I think it makes me wonder in my life, like when I look at it and I look at the future, the possibility of something going badly seems disproportionate to me over 5 things going well.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I can live in a worst-case scenario thinking, and I can start making decisions based on a possible worst-case scenario that hasn't even materialized yet because it's not in the present. And I'm already hedging it. I'm packing a parachute. I'm doing a whole bunch of things. Sometimes that's smart, but sometimes we're living in, honestly, the devastation of an event that has not happened and may never happen.
Yes.
And we may live in it every moment of our life until it comes, instead of just dealing with it when it comes. Yeah. How do you deal with that, Ellie?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to think about myself right now. I think there's definitely those pieces of me. I'm wondering, how does it change us? Like, I'm thinking about the context of our life, right? And so if I'm looking at my decisions in a day and I'm basing them off of loss versus off of what if something good happened?
Yes.
right? And like, I love the possibility of something good happening.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of romanticize things sometimes. I don't know if other people like that, but I'm always like, oh, you know, like this, like, what if this happens? But I think fear will push me into, I don't know how I sit in that. I'm thinking about it. I'm chewing on it a little bit.
I think the preferred future, right? I mean, like, there's a preferred future that we have. I think that's what makes grief so heavy. Is because like you have lost, like you said, like I'm trying to not lose. I coach sports.
Yep.
That's why we run.
Right.
That's why I fall out at the finish line, and not because I just didn't want to lose. Right. Like I would rather pass out from exhaustion than lose this race. Right.
Right.
My son runs track. He had a track meet yesterday. He's the fastest kid in his school, right?
Yeah.
And so now they're running up against other schools. So he's used to being the fastest kid in his school.
Right.
And so now he's running up against another school. He comes in second. He comes after he's done running, lays his head in my chest, and says, "Dad, I lost." And I'm like, "Dude, you came in second."
Yeah.
Right? In his mind, he lost.
Yeah.
Right? And so like there's this like and he's running not to win, but just to not lose.
Right.
Yeah.
Because his time was worse.
Right.
So he didn't even run a good time. So he didn't beat his time. He just didn't beat the person.
Right.
And so he was like, I lost. And so he's running to not lose. And so when you finally, like this inevitable, like it's going to happen. You're going to get older. Somebody's going to train harder than you, and you will lose.
Yeah.
If you love people around you, you will lose.
Right.
Like if you hang around long enough, you're going to lose some stuff.
Yep.
And I think that's the inevitable of, so you're going to need to learn to grieve.
Yeah.
You're going to need to learn to grieve. Otherwise, when you start to realize that your preferred future is not the life that you're living in, and if you don't know how to grieve that well, it really becomes a life of refusal to grieve, is a life of depression and a life of missing out on everything that God has, because the only way to not lose anymore is to just never run. And a lot of people choose to just not run.
Yeah.
Like once you lose a couple of races,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm just never going to trust anybody again. I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to try again.
Right.
I'm never
Right.
going to, and it's this choice to not, because I can't lose.
Right.
But I think grieving is important, because grieving helps us to have a healthy relationship with the reality of loss, so that you can love again and try again and move again and grow again. And so I think grief is this important part of this dynamic, because you can't live that way forever.
Yeah. I've heard, and I don't know that this is true, but I think I've heard this, that there are 3 phases of grief. The first phase is one of just pouring out. Like you're pouring out what is inside, and there's a benefit to being able to have it be on the outside as well as on the inside. Weeping would be part of that, or anger would be part of that, whatever your grief would be. The second would be perspective, and that we set it into a bigger picture, and that we're able to not just see it as the only picture.
Right.
And then third, there's hope that this isn't the end, but we're still involved in a life that is moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think those things, I've at least tried to think about them, because I'm a terrible griever. I want to confess. I'm awful at grieving. I don't normally make space for it. I don't normally go there. I normally radically undercut it, and I attempt, and I tell myself lies, right? I tell myself lies that other people need me to be up, to be strong, to be positive, and so I can't stay here very long.
Right.
And there's truth in it, but there's also a lie in that. And the lie is that I don't need to grieve, or God doesn't need me to. And the reality is, what is really true is that I need to grieve before these people, and I need to have done it well enough that I can help them in their grief.
Yeah, I think that thinking that we don't need to grieve is also thinking that we're not worthy of healing. Like, I think that it's the pathway to healing those places of loss. And it's the only way to move out of those places, truly move out of those places of loss. I think you can move on, but to move out of them, to grow from them, to learn from them, to have it transform you, right? Like, you have to grieve.
Yeah.
And so I think that when we deny our need and the human need to grieve, and that God actually grieves with us and wants us to grieve, we're denying that we deserve or are worthy where God wants us to heal.
That's good. That's good.
And so I think that for people like looking at that, because I think that grief is hard. One, grief hurts. Like the weepy, angry part is not fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not. And I think when you move into that pit of grief, you have to confront a lot of things about yourself, a lot of things about maybe other people, just like life things that are big and they're hard. And when you move into that place, it's not fun and it's hard, but like the hope is knowing that there's another side of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that there's actually a place out of that like God wants to take you into. That is transformative, that moves you from one place to another. I'm wondering, like in this story of Samuel and Saul, obviously Samuel is grieving, right? We see that. And Denvil, you kind of talked about this, but like, how did he get to that point of like, okay, it's time to move on from this guy, right? Like now it's like, let's leave it behind. We're moving on. Like I'm disconnecting from that portion. Like, how do we do that?
That's so tricky. It's tricky because the Lord comes in and he asks a question. I do maybe opposite from you, Pastor Scott. I grieve. I do this. I do this because I've had a lot of losses. And I've gotten stuck so much. There's so much of life I think I've missed out on because I just refused to grieve, you know. And what fascinates me about this passage is when God shows up, he doesn't say to move on. It's just this wake up call of like, hey, how long? Like, how long are we gonna stay here? And it's almost as if like, oh, there's somewhere I can go. Like, it's the difference, like you're saying, Ellie. There's a difference between like progressing pain, pain without end, and passing pain, the pain towards recovery, right? Like there's a pain like when you break your arm and it feels like it's just never going to end. But there's a different pain like when the doctor does surgery on your arm and says, hey, it's going to be 3 weeks. That pain is in passing and it's not just progressing pain. And I think grief, like the part of grief I think God invites us into is the part where I know it hurts, but if we don't learn to do this right, it's going to be progressing pain. You're going to be grieving for years. But passing pain is if you let me touch this deep thing in you, it's still going to hurt. Like I love when my doctor tells me this is going to hurt a bit. You know what I mean? But I trust him because I know it's going to hurt, but we're moving from passing, we're moving from the pain that's just progressing to a pain that's going to be passing. And that's the turn that I think grief makes. It moves us from a pain that just hurts to a pain that still hurts, but it's moving in the right direction towards healing. So I think the question of how long is a hopeful question of like, you mean there's a road beyond this? Like if I hit a dead end and I can't go back and I don't see a way forward, and God shows up and says, when are we going to go forward? You better listen to that question because he's saying that there is a way forward. Right. And so I think it's just a moment of realization in that. Some people try to give it a timeline, like, you know, how much time. You know, I try to play with this a bit. I'm like, I don't know how much time, but I do know it's just a verse. Like there's something that happens at the end of one chapter. And then God at the beginning of the next chapter is like, how long? I don't know how long goes in that process, but I do know that it's not forever. And I think that's just the first thing that I'm comforted in knowing that it's not forever. The process of grief, I think you alluded to these three phases. Elizabeth, I think her name is Kolber-Ross. She had these 5 stages of grief that she walks through. And I like your boil down of 3 because I can remember 3. I can't hold 5, right? But grief is this process of, and this is how I phrase it. It's this tricky language here, of letting go of what I've already lost. And I think that's the process of grief. The process of grief for me is something is gone, but I'm holding on to the shadow of it. And grief is me letting go of what's already gone. It's already gone. And so God shows up and he's like, it's already gone. And grief to me with God has been, it's already gone. And God shows up and he identifies with me in that place. Sometimes he he shows me where he is in that.
Yep.
And it helps me to know that at least he's a part of it, that the enemy's not the only person that's involved in my story. You know, so this is where I was like alluding to this idea of God showing up and saying, I've rejected Saul.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for God to say, I've rejected Saul, so that I know that like I'm not fighting for something that God is still wanting. There's a point, I think there are relationships where God's like, hey, we're done with this one.
Yeah.
And like maybe reconciliation will happen on the other side of eternity.
Yeah.
But the scripture was clear. Samuel never saw Saul again until the day that he died.
Yeah.
Like he never saw him again the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And so when God says, hey, I'm done with this one, it's not just that Saul disappointed me and I'm mad and I'm never going to see him again. God showed up and said, I think we're done here.
Yeah.
With this relationship as well. And now is the process of letting go of what I already lost. And I think that's the process of grief that I've learned to walk through, both with people who have passed, but also with life and expectations.
That's good.
It's a powerful idea to realize that there are times when it's okay and even helpful to walk away from a relationship.
Yeah.
Like that's a big idea. And I think that's really hard. It's hard to know when you do that. It's hard to know when it's appropriate to do that. You know, as Christians, I think we look at, we forgive 70 times 7, that we are the recipients of such elaborate, scandalous grace from God, right? And so how do we show grace to others? Most of the time, we're on the other side of that where we're not showing enough grace or we're not being long-suffering enough.
Yeah.
But there can be situations where, hey, you know what? This person, for whatever reasons, is so destructive to themselves, destructive to me, destructive to what's happening, that I'm not that solution right now. Like, how do we know? Like, how do we walk through that? Like, what would you say to people, you know what I mean? Like, who are trying to even think about something like that?
Yeah. That question comes up when, like, in a hurtful relationship.
Right.
I've had oftentimes it's been women who have asked, about ex-spouses or ex-people they've dated, and it's like, and it's abusive,
right?
Or it's been hurtful, or it's not a healthy relationship to have. And they come to church and they hear this message about forgiveness and reconciliation. And then there's a beeline to the pastor of like, are you saying that I need to be friends with, you know what I mean? And one of the ways that I've walked through that, one, I think the Bible is clear that there's a time and a place where these relationships are like, it's safe and healthy to know that there can be an end, right? So I think before we even say, should there be, I was like, yes, there are times when that is. And so the idea of reconciliation, I try to encourage people to have a kingdom view of reconciliation. And here's what that looks like. I believe that on the other side of eternity, when Christ returns and makes all things new, he's going to repair whatever is wrong with me and whatever is wrong with that person. And then we can have reunification and restoration and reconciliation.
Right.
Until that time comes, or until breakthrough of that future kingdom comes now, there's some where it's going to take a miracle. I know that I'm going to be healed on that side. But unless Jesus breaks through now with healing on this side of eternity, it's just not here yet.
Right.
And so I need to live according to the reality that I'm in until there's a miracle. And sometimes there's a miracle where people change.
Right.
And which is a miracle. Right? I mean, that it is a miracle. And so I've walked people through, one, getting rid of this idea, as one person put it, said, I imagine in heaven that me and this person, we never talk, that we have no relationship, that I'm on one side and they're on one side, because
that
God
sort of defines heaven, doesn't
right?
it? Yeah.
And I was like, all right, first, let's break that idea down. Let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
Like, let's get rid of the idea that even in heaven, this can't be repaired.
Yeah.
Like, let's think through a future reality where God is actually in charge and he can heal and he could do things, because that gives us at least a healthy starting point with our faith in God and not just seeing what's around us. And then after we get there, we can start to deal with the reality of what is. Is this healthy? Is this honoring? Is this honoring to me and the things that God has given me? Is it honoring to this person? Is it helping me to flourish? Is it making me more like Jesus or less like Jesus? Do I need to take a break? I invite people around me into that. Who am I when I'm around this person? Is this person healthy? In the counsel of many, there's wisdom. And so I invite people into that space too. And I've had to end relationships.
Yeah.
And I think we do so with the fear of God and not so like, not so flippantly.
Yeah.
I think is an important part of that too.
Yeah, I think that there's two things. One, I think that there, like, outside of if the relationship is being hurtful, if it's a really broken relationship, there are times too when we have to maybe dismiss a relationship, even if for a season, if I am not living in the reality of my identity in God, right, and Jesus. And I'd say that in, like, I think this is important for people who are coming to faith, who are coming into relationship with Jesus for the first time, and they're finding themselves like in a new identity, right? But when they're with certain people, they find themselves pulled back to an old identity, right? Yes. And I think that we know that, like, the purpose for us that God created us for is to beautify and magnify his creation, and that's in our relationships too. And so when we find ourselves in relationships where we're like, hey, I find myself going back to this reality where I'm not beautifying or magnifying anything, I actually become a worse version of myself, or I think there's a good clean line in that where you can say, like, this isn't for me. But I think you can grieve that too, of like, hey, I really love that person, and I'm going to pray for them, and I'm going to, like, maybe there's a point at which I can pursue them again in relationship, but right now that's not for me. But I think that you have to grieve that reality, and that's hard.
Yes, there's I think it's in the book of Amos, Amos chapter 3. He asked the question, can two walk together unless they agree? If we're not going in the same direction, we probably shouldn't be in the same Uber. And at some point, like, I want to walk with people and have fellowship, because we're rowing in the same direction to the same destination. Can I have people in my life kind of in the periphery or as a part of my mission field or adjacent, or people who are involved in some way? Yeah, of course. But fellowship. I'm having fellowship and relationship with people who are going after some of the same things that I'm going after. I'm going after the kingdom. I'm going after Jesus. And if you are not going in that direction, you shouldn't get in the ship, because that's where this relationship is going. And I have had to grieve relationships that I've had to cut off. As I've grown, come into Christ, I've had to cut off a lot. And then as I've grown more in Christ, I've had to cut off, and it's really, really hard. But I've had to grieve them. Because there's a place where you just know. You just know. Like, you wake up one day and this relationship is not God honoring. This relationship we're not rowing in the same direction. We're pivoting in circles, and I know that it's not good. And I'm more afraid to not do it. And I just have to let it go.
I would love to just say plainly to folks that are dating out there, if you're not being treated well and somebody's treating you meanly or is physically rough with you, that doesn't get better with marriage. And I would just tell you, there's a gift that God wants to give you of being able to end a relationship that is abusive and hard, and you don't have to live in it. And particularly if you're in a dating situation, understand that marriage is an intensifier. And that whatever you see is going to become more intense. And to the guys out there, I just will tell you, man, if you feel that you have to exert yourself physically or exert yourself emotionally over a woman, that is not what it means to be a man. You are there to protect her, to love her, and to treasure her, and you are not there to abuse her or to run roughshod over her. And so that is not a Christian idea.
I think even hearing that, Scott, like, if there are people on the receiving end of that who are like, oh no, like, even right now, like, something just hit me and I realized that this is not good. And I would say this is where grief starts.
Exactly.
Because you already know that it's ended. And how long? And now is the process of, how do I let go of what's already done? Like, I think there are instances in relationships when something happens and right then or right there, like, this doesn't end well, this doesn't go further, and this is done. But we hold on, and like you said, maybe marriage will fix it, and it won't.
No, it will not.
But it's like, okay, then how do I go forward in this? And I would just say, now we need to let go of what's already done. Like, because you know that it's already done.
And to believe that God has something better for you.
I think that's the big thing is like there is something better. There is something greater that we're looking toward. And that's like the point of like that God's making to Samuel in this of like, hey, like when are we going to go? Like there's something better ahead. Like how long are you going to stay here? Because I got plans.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do.
I love it.
Like,
and that's the picture
good.
of like fill your horn with oil.
Yeah.
Like this last thing emptied you out. But listen, one, how long means you don't have to stay here.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this has a timetable.
Totally.
This expires.
I love the fact that you defined what a heifer was for all of us. As well.
Some people do need that. They don't understand cows.
Like, take the heifer with you, right? And it's like how long? And he's like, fill your horn with oil. Call one of your heifers and let's go. You know what I mean? Like let's just move forward because there is more. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. Like if you feel trapped and stuck. Like to hear God say those words.
Everybody needs some oil and a heifer.
Everybody needs some oil. This goes. No, but I love it because even if you don't know that there's a David, you've just heard God say something, that should at least motivate you.
Absolutely.
To like, okay, maybe I'm coming to the end of grief.
Yes.
Because I could see a light.
Yeah.
I can't see a David.
Yep.
But I've heard God and I can see a light.
Yeah, and I think we have to have imagination for a really big God who has really great plans. Like when you said, you know, you've talked to people who, you know, their picture of heaven is that they never see this person again or, you know, that, you know, I live on a different street than them. And I'm like, if our biggest imagination for God, the creator of the universe, is that he builds really good walls, like we don't have a very big imagination, right? Good. And like our imagination for him needs to be so much bigger because David's coming. And then guess what? Jesus is coming, right? Like there's so much more that he has in store. And I think that that's like that beautiful place where that's where you go in grief. It's like there's something beautiful that's going to come out of this. There's something
I think
really
that's
good.
The place, Ellie, where it's like you've got to be able to trust God because the big wall you're talking about, like God can build a really nice wall. It's like you expect, like your expectations are so limited to your experience.
Yep.
And it's like you've experienced a Saul, so you think it's going to be an Eliab. Like you've experienced this, and so you think it's, and God is like, no, just trust me. Like no eye has seen, no ear has heard. Your heart can't even imagine the things that God has prepared for those who love him and are called into his glory. It's like it's like if you've seen it, it's not that. No eye has seen. If you've heard about it, it's better than that. No ear has heard. If you've imagined it somehow because you saw it somewhere, your heart can't even imagine the thing that God has prepared for those who love him. And so, like, trust him then. Because you have no context for it. Because no one expected a David. No one expected an incarnation of God in Christ. It was what they needed. But where would you even imagine that? You know what I mean? Like who would have imagined that God would show up like that? And so instead of trying to base our future imaginations for God based on our past experiences, the idea here is to trust God. I'm going to take him at his word. I'm going to leave when he tells me to leave. I'm going to step into relationships that are healthy and that are life-giving. I'm going to go where he says to go. This is what I called the radical worship. This is the idea of Pastor Scott, the horn of oil and the heifer, right? I mean, that's the worship, right? And it's like, this makes no sense. I don't know why I need a heifer, and I don't know why I need oil, all right? And there are 10 reasons. I didn't get a chance to get into this, but there's about 10 reasons why a Samuel shouldn't even go to Bethlehem,
right?
Because his jurisdiction and his power there is very limited. It's like, this is not what I need. What I need is another Saul.
Right.
And you're talking about cows and horns in a city that I have no power. And it's like,
this is crazy.
If you just trust him, you know, and it's like, it seems ridiculous. But I just think that's the place where the miraculous happens. I think that's where I've seen breakthrough that I cannot even imagine that God would have had for me, because I've said yes to the small, insignificant, seemingly insignificant. It had nothing to do with anything, but I obeyed him in this thing, and it opened up a door to a corridor of things I just never thought would be behind such a tiny door.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, nobody went to Bethlehem.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no reason to go to Bethlehem.
There's nothing there.
Exactly.
There's nothing there. And so
there's
it's like,
nothing there.
You're telling me to bring things I don't need. Like, this is not what I need right now.
Right, exactly.
Like what I need is, like, I need a king, and you're talking about this. And I sometimes wonder, there are these little things, you know, as a pastor and as a leader, I've seen this in people's lives where people show up and they're trying to figure out their biggest relationship issue. And in conversations, we end up with like, maybe you should serve on our host team. And it's like, that's not what I need right now. Like, I just, like, this is where our conversation led, right? And what if that's the invitation?
Right.
And like, what if God is not trying to solve your biggest problems in the way that you'd want him to, but what if he's trying to tell you about a horn of oil and a heifer and a city that nobody goes to?
Right.
Yep.
And what if that's the act of worship that changes everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. One small step at a time.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, this is the end of the Breakthrough series.
Yeah.
And next week is Mother's Day, so we have a special message.
Happy Mother's Day, Ellie.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy
Thank
Mother's
you.
Day.
Yeah.
Is there a song for Mother's Day? Happy
think so.
Mother's
There
Day
should be.
to you. No,
Yeah.
You could write it, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Happy Mother's Day. No,
That's
wait.
good. Keep going. Yeah.
Mama. No, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's so good. Yeah. We're just going to end now. No.
She's a mom. Okay.
That's so good.
I got tons of
Yeah.
ideas here.
You're just write them down. Start writing them down. So we have Mother's Day coming up, and then we're starting a brand new series
We are.
on the book of Ephesians.
Yeah.
What do you want people to know about this series, Scott?
Man, I'm excited about this. I think the church in Ephesus was an incredible church. It was planted by Paul, and it had such an impact on one of the most important ancient cities in the Roman world that it was transforming it to the level that it changed its economy, it changed its worship, and it changed its politics. It changed everything about it. And it was something that was just exploding everything around it. And Paul is writing a letter to these people in the midst of that circumstance. And he's doing three things. He's helping them understand God a lot better. He's helping them understand what it means to do this together a lot better. And then he's helping them understand the practicalities of living out their faith in the normal rhythms of life. And it is a powerful book. It's called the Cathedral of the New Testament because it is such a powerful work of Paul. Many people consider it to his finest written work that he has ever done. And so it is going to be an amazing series over the next several weeks to journey through this perspective with a group of people who are already coming alive to God.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you're already there, but let's take this another step. Let's figure this piece out and let's go. And so it's an exciting opportunity.
Sounds like a church I know.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be exciting. I like Ephesians because it's one of Paul's, like, I think it's the only letter where he's like, hey, you guys doing a great job.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a correction. Like, he's
Yep.
not correcting stuff in that. So it's super uplifting and encouraging to go further and like growing as a Christian. So I'm excited about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It kind of feels like the pep talk that the coach gives before the big game.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what it feels like to me. It's like, and here's how we're going to do this. And everybody's just like hyped up and jazzed about how we're going to do this, right?
Yeah.
But it's also like, don't go out and forget the fundamentals. Like, don't go get out on the court and forget the fundamentals. Like, here's how we're going to do it. So I'm really looking forward to that. But we would love to have everyone who is listening join us on a Sunday and join us in person at one of our campuses in Illinois.
Can I also say,
yeah,
Ellie,
you can.
I think also it's knowing what I know about the book of Ephesians, I think these are great weekends to invite friends, maybe friends who have walked away from church. Have some misconceptions about what the church is, because Ephesians does a great job of inviting people to faith, redefining some things about church I think we've gotten wrong in the last 100 years maybe, and really to talk about them in a healthy way. So I mean, even our unchurched friends and our folks who walked away from church, I think this is a good time to have some of those conversations that are really popular in our culture now.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So join us in person or online. We'd love to see you, chat with you, but we'll be back here next week. It's been fun.